Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And happy Monday to you. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I had a pretty good weekend. I had to take Paxton, my 3-year-old son. I took him to a swim class. He's learning how to swim. And it's been a great experience, man. And, I'm actually learning a little bit of something myself because I actually can't swim. But, just watching him in the water and learn how to swim, been pretty great. Also spent a little bit of time with my family on yesterday. Shouts out to my wife. Cooked everything in the kitchen she can possibly find on yesterday. So your boy ate good this past weekend. But I'm happy to be with you all. Hope everybody is safe. Everybody is happy. You should be happy, especially if you are a sports fan. And especially you're a Saints fan, because Saints training camp is a couple of days away. The veterans report on tomorrow. The rookies are already there. And there are so many storylines that we can choose from. But there are several ones that we can, actually think of, right? Of course, we have to address the elephant in the room, Alvin Kamara. We don't know what the status of his situation is. We know that he's supposed to have a trial next month. We don't know if that's going to, result in a suspension. We don't know what the tight end room is going to look like. Jameis's health is in question. If Alvin Kamara just so happens to be suspended, who is going to be able to back him up? And also the wide receiver position when it comes to Michael Thomas, him starting on the PUP list, him along with Marcus Davenport. I don't think I had a show since that happened. So before I get started, I want to talk a little bit about that because, like I said, I don't think I'm trying to think that I have a show. I don't think I had a show since this situation happened. I did address the situation. I did it on social media. The first thing I'm gonna say about this is I'm not concerned. All right, I mean, him starting on the PUP list. I think when people think about the PUP list, they think about him missing regular season games. Okay, but the thing about the PUP list is if he starts off training camp on a PUP list, I mean, he can come back. If you start on a PUP list during the season, you have to miss at least 4 games, right? You got to miss at least 4 games. So a lot of people think, oh, man, he on a PUP list, or he's not going to play. He's not going to be there to the regular season. All roads lead to him coming back in the middle of training camp. So you don't want to rush this guy back. You don't want to rush him back. I know people want to see what Michael Thomas can do. I know people want to see what Michael Thomas can bring to the table. And I know people are getting frustrated. But, I'm very disappointed in a lot of fans. Yes, I'm going to say it. I'm disappointed in a lot of Saints fans because we get so mad and so frustrated at these players, and we never take the time to look at the organization. I'm going to say that again. We spend so much time getting mad at these players, and we never take a look at the organization. We never look at the organization asking these guys to take the time to make a sacrifice for the greater good of the team, not thinking about how this injury can set a guy back or how it can look in the court of public opinion. You have so many players that go out here that have these injuries, that have injuries that can result in even worse injuries. And they go out there because maybe a coach, maybe somebody in the organization is pushing them to play, and they don't want to let their team down. They don't want to let the teammates down. They don't want to let the fans down. And when these guys get hurt, we label them as damaged goods. We smacking our lips. We getting upset that these dudes ain't out there. And we never look at, man, what the organization is asking these guys to do. I think that we don't want to look at that because, today we don't want to look at things that are obviously in our face. We want to pretend things don't exist. And if nobody says they exist, therefore we can live in our own little secluded society, a little world. But the thing about it is, man, these dudes are sacrificing their bodies every single day. These dudes playing with injuries every single week. And, the fact that we're still here almost 2 years later you have to believe that stemmed from him coming back and him, you know what I'm saying, possibly not getting that surgery and thinking that he can possibly rehab it, and it could have, set him back. But we're going to be talking a little bit about that during the week because I got Dr. Jesse Morris coming back, the orthopedic surgeon that was on the show last time. He's going to be on the show Thursday. He's going to talk to us a little bit about some things that could have possibly happened to set back Michael Thomas and what could be taking so long for him to get back on the field. So we're going to get some expertise when it comes to that. But, I'm not concerned about Michael Thomas, and I am definitely not concerned, not so much about him as a player, but it's not like it was last year. Like our level of concern, of course, we're concerned about him because we know the talent he possesses, but we're not as concerned because now you have two studs on your team that can take the place of Michael Thomas, and you're confident enough in those guys to know that they can pick up the slack if Michael Thomas couldn't play. It's not like how it was when you have a bunch of undrafted, unproven guys, and you have to be optimistic about it because, you have no choice. But in the back of your mind, you're like, what can these guys bring to the table? What can these guys do? It's not that situation right now. So I am happy that he can be as healthy and close to 100% as he possibly can without having to feel the pressure of coming back, and rushing back because we need you so badly. You got some guys that can go out here and that can do some things. But I asked everybody here, if you like the content, hit the like button. If you enjoy the State of the Saints podcast, and also, if you want to chime in, go ahead and put your comments in the chat as well. Let's see. Tano says, who that? Kendrick says, who that nation, stand up. Brandon says, who that family? And Jared giving a shout out to Tano and Kendrick. Brandon says, hit that like button. Yeah, I agree. If you enjoy the content, come out wherever you are. Who that? Morning, who that fam? State of the Saints podcast. Love the intro. TJ song was playing through my computer sound system. Yeah, man. I mean, I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed the intro. Think it was probably the best intro we've had. And that's saying something, man. I've enjoyed some of the intros that have been put together for the show, but I think that one probably reigns the best. Probably because, out of all of them, it probably embodies the city, probably the most. That's probably one of the most recognizable beats in New Orleans hip hop history right there. I think they were placed on a pup list to free up 2 roster spots while they rehab a little extra. Yeah, there's no problem with that. Look, I just think that people want to see number 13 running in cleats, and I get it. But I'm not concerned about that. I'm more concerned about his health and his well-being. I don't look at the situation at the wide receiver position like I did last year. So, we all have selfish tendencies when it comes to the Saints. And what I mean by that is we want the best product on the field. We want to see the best guys on the field, right? Because we want to emphatically know that we are going to have the best team on the field, right? And if any other player does not, show up, the player that we expect to be that top guy, that guy to give us the advantage over our opponent, we get mad. And we look at it from a selfish reason. We dehumanize guys because we want to feel like champions. We want to feel like winners. I feel bad because sometimes I even fall into that. I'm not going to just sit up here and say, oh, y'all doing this. I've done it myself. I've been frustrated at the fact that I want to see a certain player, be out there on the field. I don't know. Maybe it's because, when I got into like broadcasting, I started like interacting with these guys and started talking to them and seeing, certain ways of how they feel and how the game is played. And also just some of the things that, some of the people that I had a privilege of talking to, how they feel about it kind of changed my minds. And, I think sometimes we dehumanize these guys because they play a sport that we love so much. And we look at these guys as larger than life. But in reality, they're real players and they go through real situations and the things these dudes have to do to get back on the field, I mean, you couldn't even imagine. I honestly, if you knew, I don't think we'll look at football the same way anymore. I'm being serious. Like, like sometimes, because things are concealed from us, we don't have like what they say, a dog in a fight, so to speak. But when things come to our attention, then all of a sudden, like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. That's kind of how I feel about football. If some people actually know about some of the things and practices these dudes, they do and have to go through in order to get on the field, I think it might change a lot of people's mind about how they think about football. Seriously. OG, Jared, glad to see things getting back to normal. Or are you keeping us with that same energy? Let's see. Hybrid one's weekend. Me good. My older brother celebrated his 43rd birthday on Saturday, and my dad was in town. Well, that's great to hear, man. That's great to hear. Glad that you had a great weekend. Hope everybody had a really good weekend. Dr. Billy says, I want him healthy, but 2 years of not playing is not something to miss. Yeah, it is not something to miss, but at the same time, what do you want at this particular point? Like, if the dude is not healthy enough, or they taking their time to bring him back, what more can you do? Like, so if the dude come out there and run and be like, okay, man, it's been long enough. Like, who are we to say that? We don't know what's going on with the injury, right? And honestly, we shouldn't know. You know what I'm saying? To be honest with you, like, it's not like if a team discloses information, that's on them. Like that's something they're willing to share. They don't have to tell us anything. I think that's the thing about us today. Everything is so transparent. We know so much, and we want to be able to decide if we need to cheer this guy, or we need to boo this guy. If we need to look at this dude as a diva, or look at this dude in sympathetic eyes. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think that a lot of us feel the way that we do because we mad and we don't know what's going on. But it's not, who are we? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we pay our money, but this dude, you know what I'm saying, is contracted to the New Orleans Saints. And all the people that really need to know about what's going on with him seriously is the Saints. And I don't have any problem with that. I don't have any problem with them disclosing information or holding information or trying to, put information out there. Look, Sean Payton was the head coach of New Orleans Saints for 16 years. If you don't know, I mean, by now that the Saints don't really give information about players like that, or how long it's going to be before he comes back, or how bad is the injury, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, the dude should be back on, when that happens. But like I said, in the meantime, I don't feel the same way. And, I don't feel the same way I did back in the day, right? When he was the only game in town. Now you got some guys out here that can make some plays. So it's not as bad as it once was. You want to see him on the field, but you still, once again, got some studs out there that can pick up the slack until he comes back. And it's not like, I've heard some people with some dumb logic going on around here talking about we need to trade Michael Thomas. When people start talking about trading Michael Thomas, I just realize how misinformed when it comes to football they are. Some people just play mad and they turn the salary cap off and they release and they trade and they do all these other things, you know what I'm saying, without any type of consequence. I encourage people to understand what the salary cap is all about, how money management works before you come up with some of these, these asinine comments. I mean, because if you were to trade Michael Thomas, the Saints will take a huge cap hit. So the best thing that you can do right now is hope that this dude is back to being what he originally was when he first, got hurt, right? Back in 2019 when he was Offensive Player of the Year. Too many fans keep saying he was healthy, all this stuff, until I see him playing. I'm not getting excited about anything. Yeah, man. I mean, look, all we can do right now is wait. I ain't mad at the dude. I'm not. I'm not getting mad at him because here's the thing. The Saints knew how bad this dude's injury was. They know it was a deltoid injury. And if you have doctors at your facility, you know how important a deltoid is. Deltoid, you know what I'm saying, is the ligaments inside of, the ankle, area. So if you know what I'm saying, you know that is one of those injuries that you have to be very careful with. But this is Drew Brees' last year. Man, we need you out here. Man, we struggling right now. Man, can you hold off on that surgery? Like, come on, man, give me a break. They knew this dude needed surgery. And then, the crazy thing about this is they used this dude all the way up, right? You know what I'm saying? They know this dude is basically out there being a decoy. But nobody said anything about surgery. Then, where was the outrage from us then, right? We seen this dude out here. We know this dude like dealing with a serious ankle injury, but nobody was like, man, this dude need to go ahead and get surgery right now, man. We probably gonna need him down the line. Nobody said that. But then when a dude like decided, I'm gonna try to rehab this thing from advice that he got from a doctor, by the way. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, I was just sitting at home and, oh man, I ain't getting no surgery. This, that. No. He was told that there's a possibility that he can rehab, and that's what he tried to do. And in the process, who knows? By rehabilitation, could mess with some scar tissue, could have been dealing with arthritis. We don't know. Just all speculation right now. But we never look at the organization. We never look at what the organization is asking these dudes to do. We don't, right? It's so quick to blame the dudes, but come on, man. Like we act like these dudes aren't pressured to go out there and perform. We act like these guys aren't pressured at the fact that, oh, man, I got to go out here and give it everything I have, but somebody going to end up taking my place. Like, we don't look at it that way. We look at it like, oh, he out there. Oh, man, he hurt. Oh, he hurt again. Oh, man, he always hurt. Oh, he a bum. You know what I'm saying? Like, we do not know what these dudes have to go through to get on the field. And some of us, honestly, we don't care. Like, somebody right now probably listening to this, like, rolling their eyes. But, that just shows you that how football has programmed us to be as unsympathetic as we can. You know what I'm saying? All we care about is the result. We don't care how we get the result as long as it's there. TJ, what do you think the narrative will be, said the head coach Dennis Allen, if he goes out and wins a Super Bowl and vice versa, if he completely blows this season? Well, Carlos, the narrative would be that Dennis Allen is not a head coach, not a good head coach. Look, Dennis Allen has the opportunity to change the head coaching narrative that he previously have by going out there and winning games. And honestly, this isn't like a Raiders organization where it's a train wreck, everything pretty much a disaster. And the inmates are running the asylum, so to speak. No disrespect to the players, but it's just a figure of speech, not calling these guys inmates. But you had a whole bunch of people with their hands in a cookie jar, and you didn't have one person out there that was just the undisputed leader of the team. So I feel like he had a lot of things going against him. But with the New Orleans Saints, this is a well-structured organization and has been for quite some time. So if Dennis Allen can't get it together in a well-structured, well-put-together organization, then I would be concerned about his future as a head coach. It happens sometimes. Some guys are really good coordinators and they're not good head coaches. They struggle when it comes to the day-to-day operation, and they come to, they kind of lack when it comes to, leading guys and dealing with certain situations. Now, there are some guys that kind of, changed the way that they coached and became better their second time around. Bill Belichick was one person. Pete Carroll was another. You have guys that have struggled, head coaching first time around, and then they leave and learn from their mistakes and get better. We're hoping that this is the case with Dennis Allen. But if he doesn't pan out, then to me, I don't think he'll ever get another head coaching job again. I'm just being serious. Like, and honestly, I don't think he would deserve one, because you no longer have the excuse like, oh, it was the Raiders. They're a train wreck. The Saints are not a train wreck organization. The Saints missed the playoff because they were kind of snake bitten last year when it came to the injuries. And you had a lot of things that were kind of, going in the wrong direction, quarterback starts, things we weren't really used to seeing under Sean Payton. But they still were almost close to making a playoffs. They were waiting for another team to lose in order for them to get there. So they did what they were supposed to do in order for them to make the playoffs going into that last game. So if Dennis Allen does not go out there and perform at a high level, then he'll never get another head coaching job to me. But if he does go out there and he wins a Super Bowl, then to me, he will be one of those celebrated coaches, in New Orleans Saints history. Now, does that put him on the Mount Rushmore of Saints head coaches? No, not to me. I mean, I understand championships bring legitimacy, but I still think that if you start off winning early, you still have to add some gains to it in order for you to legitimize yourself as one of the best coaches in Saints history. I mean, the Saints do not have a rich history of winning. So, if he does, go up there and win when it comes to I say this. I mean, let me backtrack. If it comes to coaching, he'll probably be up there because the Saints don't really have a rich tradition of head coaches. I mean, you just think about Sean Payton and Jim Mora. After that, who else can you think of? That brought success and legitimized the franchise. I mean, you could probably throw Jim Haslett in the Saints winning their first playoff game, but if he wins the Super Bowl and and he start winning consistently, Saints making the playoffs, then he can jump past them. But it's not hard to do. I mean, to me, from I'll say about 2000 is when the Saints really start to legitimize themselves when it comes to the realms of coaching and players, being some of the best, not only in franchise history, but in NFL history. In 2000, that's when you start to see players and coaches and guys actually, you will want to see these guys, playing for the Saints. And if they were the lead of Saints, they can get picked up by somebody else. It used to be back in the day, Saints just had a whole bunch of damaged goods. Running in cleats is one thing, but being able to withstand a cornerback tackling you low or at your ankle is a whole different thing. Yeah, good point. The average fan doesn't study the game anymore, but rely on what ESPN tells them. They just want highlights. That's why they can't believe a player can return from injury and still dominate. Yeah, that's because that's the narrative. The narrative. What people don't understand is everything is about a narrative. Everything is about a storyline. It's no different from WWE, right? I mean, you think about some of these storylines. I'll give y'all an example. There was this event back in the day when WCW called Clash of the Champions, and it was Hulk Hogan. He was doing an interview, and somebody in a mask came behind him and hit him with a lead pipe. And the whole storyline was will Hulk Hogan make it back before the main event? Because his ankle got messed up, he got hit with a lead pipe and all that kind of stuff there. So, everybody waiting with bated breath to try to see if Hulk Hogan gonna come back. Sure enough, Hulk Hogan come limping out and defending the World WCW Championship and winning, right? He unmasked the dude. Turns out it was Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Really good stuff if you're a wrestling fan. But what I'm saying is it's all about storylines, right? So by making a guy injured and talking about, I'm not sure about him coming back. I'm not sure about him coming back. It's basically they're trying to kind of set up for if a guy does make a comeback. So they can be all the stuff they went through, all the things that happened. It led to this point. Another example, if you're a Saints fan, back in 2006, right? 2005, Hurricane Katrina hits, right? Hurricane Katrina hits, devastates the city, displaced a bunch of people, including myself. Everybody, watching the New Orleans Saints, and Saints make it all the way with a 10-6 record to the NFC Championship before losing to the Chicago Bears. 4 years later, the New Orleans Saints go on this magical run, a run we never seen, to the Super Bowl. They're doing it for the city. The city was devastated. Now think about this, folks. I want y'all to think about this. If it wasn't about storylines, tell me if this makes sense. The Saints, right after Hurricane Katrina hit, 2006, they opened the Superdome, and the Saints go to the NFC Championship game, and they lose. All right, what would make more sense for a bigger storyline? The Saints winning a Super Bowl or going to the Super Bowl in 2006 or 4 years later? It makes absolutely no sense, but it just tells you how they set up storylines. They're saying it's 4 years in the making, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of things can happen. I mean, look, there was still devastation 4 years later, but at the same time, they set up a storyline to make it seem oh man, this team went from rags to riches, like it just happened overnight. No, it was 4 years. they set up storylines for us to believe in. So that's when you talking about these injuries and guys getting hurt, and that's why they really kind of hammer it home. Oh man, nobody ever comes back for this type of injury. Nobody will ever find success after going through a hurricane like that. It's all about storylines. Trust and believe, man. You know, trust and believe for somebody that writes articles, somebody that does broadcasting, it's about storylines. And that's exactly what they try to do. They try to create these narratives in order to give us something to believe in. You know, I mean, that's just kind of how it is. You know, some of the things that we hear is just for us to get outraged and for us to retweet and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, people will do anything for some attention, some retweets and likes. They don't care if you don't like it or not. If you retweeted it, you did exactly what they wanted you to do. So a lot of these things where we get mad and we get frustrated, I can't believe they said this and all that. And then all of a sudden, you know, they thank y'all. Wow, 25,000 tweets. I can't believe this. Thank everybody who retweeted this. Like, that's what they want, you know? Nobody cares about what type of publicity they get, whether it's positive or negative. If anybody wants to keep it real, them guys be hurt for real, and we think they be joking. Y'all have seen documentaries about the NFL. Kendrick, that's because nobody cares, right? You know what I'm saying? Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about dudes being injured at the end of the day. Not seriously, you know? Like, we'll be like, oh man, but we look at it from a selfish standpoint at times. Some of us, you know, some of us can be sympathetic about it. But as time go on, a couple hours later, I'll give you an example. Dak Prescott hurts himself. I want to say he hurt himself against the Giants. That was an ugly injury. That injury was nasty. And everybody, man, prayers up for Dak. Prayers up for Dak. Well, as weeks went by, people kind of forgot about Dak Prescott. And then here's the thing. When people start talking about Dak Prescott, oh, man, he not playing. He not good enough. The Cowboys can't, they shouldn't pay Dak Prescott. What are they doing? Nobody thinks about the fact that this dude ankle was damn near snapped off. You know what I'm saying? Right in front of you. Nobody thinks about this and how this could affect this dude going forward, or how it affects his mobility, or how it affects him playing a quarterback position. No, I got a narrative to say, oh man, he back. He supposed to be healed. Well, he's not the same. Like, come on, man. That's how we do things. A lot of these dudes end up getting injured. Like, even with Carson Wentz. I know we laugh at the dude, make fun of him. But once upon a time, I want to say 2017, Carson Wentz was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Dude plays against the Rams, tears his ACL, MCL, LCL. Dude had to walk on a cane. Dude was up there looking like your boy from Boys to Men back in the day. But everybody, like, dude comes back. Now the storyline is, oh man, Nick Foles took over his team. And then all of a sudden he's not playing the way that he once did. Oh, the pressure getting to him. Did anybody see that this dude walking on a cane for like a year plus? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't look at those things. We fall into the narrative as you know what I'm saying, somebody, you know, kindly said and commented. We fall into these narratives, but we don't look at the fact what led to this point. Like, you tear your ACL, your LCL, your MCL, and you tell me if you're gonna be the same player. You know, once upon a time, you know, early 2000s, national championship game. One of the greatest national championship games I've ever seen. Ohio State versus Miami. Willis McGahee, one of the greatest running backs in college football. Probably would have been, like, honestly, if Willis McGahee did not get hurt, did not tear his ACL and his LCL, his MCL, his FBI, his CIA, NAACP, all right? If he didn't tear all that, he probably would have been one of the best running backs of all time. Like, this dude was Adrian Peterson before Adrian Peterson was Adrian Peterson. But, you know what I'm saying? He had a solid NFL career, but he wasn't the same. So I'm like, that happens, man. Guys get hurt, and it takes these guys a while to get back. And you'll probably have guys that are exceptions to the rules, and that's what they pin these guys up against. People like Wes Welker, right? Wes Welker tears his ACL, comes back. People talking about he got alien blood. I want to say Adrian Peterson tears his ACL, comes back 12 yards away from breaking Eric Dickerson's record. It happens. But for the most part, man, these injuries, it takes these guys time in order for them to get back to where they need to be. But nobody pays attention to that because we got some narratives we need to create. We need some storylines that we have to create. when it comes to Michael Thomas, I'm not mad at this, man, because I think the dude is being very smart about it, to be honest with you, because he knows what we're doing right now is, you know what I'm saying, it is it is one of the what we're doing right now is the reason why he's taking his time, because he sees how guys rush to get back. They're not ready. They should be still in the oven, but they take them out the oven and they're not ready yet. And then all of a sudden, oh, they damaged goods. Oh, they trash. Oh, they washed. Oh, they this, they that. So I look, I'm not mad at the guy. I'm not mad at the guy for wanting to be close to 100% before he gets back on the field, because to me, all these people talking about, man, you need to come back. Man, Michael Thomas, man, he a diva. Man, if this dude comes back and he's close to 100% and he's the same way he was before he left, everybody and their mama that has something to say about Michael Thomas will be quiet as church mice. Seriously. So, I mean, honestly, all this stuff, you will be erasing your comments. You'll be erasing all your tweets and everything like that you said negatively about Michael Thomas if this dude comes back. Because all this backlash that he's getting right now, all this stuff can be completely absolved if he goes out there and play the way that he once did. So I don't blame him. I mean, let people talk. But if this dude come back and he getting 14, 1,500 yards, 9 and 10 touchdowns, what you can say then? You're not going to say anything. You're going to be like, man, Michael beast. And then when it's time for this man to get a new contract, man, we need to sign this man back. The biggest storyline is Michael Thomas. Is he the same superstar player, or has his injury changed him into an average type of receiver? I don't think that it's going to change him to an average type of receiver, because here's the thing. Michael Thomas's ability, it's not like, it was Michael Thomas's skill set to have you in the league 12 to 15 years. Michael Thomas is not the fastest receiver in the world. Michael Thomas never, was going to take the top off the defense. Yes, he can do all these different things, and he's a really good route runner. But the type of skill set that Michael Thomas has, I mean, you can stay in the league 9, 10 plus years. So it's not like we look like what are we looking for here? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like Tyreek Hill got hurt. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Deshaun Jackson back in the day got hurt, or you know what I'm saying? Like some of these other guys that just some straight burners. The dude is fundamentally sound. I think the biggest issue is he wants to make sure his ankle is straight, is because of his route running ability. You know what I'm saying? Because he wants to be able to, run his route tree and run it with precision. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think I don't look at if he was like a Deshaun Jackson, Tyreek Hill, Nico Hartman type player, then I'll be like, okay, man, can he be the same? But the dude is like a fundamentally sound wide receiver, a possession receiver. You know what I'm saying? A guy that can get open, short, medium yard situation. So I'm not concerned about him as will he be back? I think, as long as he still got two hands and he got them vice grips, he good. All right. You know what I'm saying? You get your ankle back where you can actually run crisp routes, he'll be fine. I don't look at Michael Thomas as how some people may look at wide receivers. If you play a wide receiver, you know what I'm talking about. You have guys that can take the top off the defense that was super fast. And then you have guys who are kind of big body guys that can run crisp routes and they can get off the line of scrimmage because they were like, strong. You know what I'm saying? Got vice grip hands. Cornerback try to press them. You know what I'm saying? Big mistake. Biggest mistake, mangle them boys' hands up. That's the type of receiver Michael Thomas is. Even in the NFL, storylines matter. So NFL scripts in some ways, it's just entertainment. Yeah, from an entertainment standpoint, when it comes to, what Skip Bayless, what Stephen A. Smith, what Shannon Sharp, some of these people like Colin Cowherd, what they do, that's entertainment. That's entertainment. They're pot stirrers. They're pot stirrers. They kind of coincide with, with the NFL, right? NFL, they put the guys in place and you have the media people who create these storylines for us to believe in or not to believe in, for us to be angry at us, to, give that stamp of approval. So they kind of work together. If Dennis get the team to the playoffs and win games, that's success in his first year. Anything beyond that is next level. Yeah, like that's what I said. The Saints don't have a rich tradition when it comes to head coaches. They don't have a rich tradition of winning. I mean, I put it like this. Let's just say, for example, if Jameis Winston gives you 3 or 4 years of consistent quarterback play, Pro Bowls, playoff appearances, no Super Bowls. To me, he would surpass Aaron Brooks as, like the second greatest, or Bobby Abel, depends on like where you at in the conversation. There's the second or third best quarterback in Saints history. The Saints don't have a rich tradition at quarterbacks, right? I mean, just 4 or 5 years of Drew Brees being consistent at the quarterback position and playoff appearances made him number one, right? Multi-time playoff appearances and winning in the playoffs made Sean Payton the greatest coach in Saints history. Saints don't have a rich tradition, right? You know what I'm saying? It's almost like an expansion team, right? Let's look at the Houston Texans. I mean, you had David Carr out there. He used to get sacked a lot, right? You know what I'm saying? But let's just say he throws for 10,000 yards, you know what I'm saying? And throughout his Houston Texans career, 15,000 yards, right? He's automatically, unanimously the greatest Houston Texan quarterback of all time. All right. So who's after him? Like, honestly, who's the greatest Houston Texan quarterback of all time? It's Deshaun Watson. Who else came in, you know what I'm saying, besides him, you know what I'm saying, and actually did something with the Houston Texans? I mean, what you had? Can you tell me about Brock Osweiler, TJ Yates? I mean, come on, man. Like, seriously, it don't take much, when a team is kind of in its infancy of success. Anybody that comes in, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the way that it goes. The Saints don't have a rich tradition of that. So anybody that comes in, they have success, they find success, consistent, consistent success. I mean, look, all right, another prime example. Look at the running back position. All right. You had Deuce McAllister, right? Deuce McAllister. He was the greatest Saints running back of all time, right? You know what I'm saying? Because he was consistently running the football. Yeah, he got hurt a couple of years to his ACL, but he was one of the most consistent running backs the Saints ever had from, like 6, 7, 8 years. You know what I'm saying? He was consistent. Then all of a sudden, here comes, Mark Ingram. Like, I don't say Reggie Bush because to me, I don't even think Reggie Bush is in the conversation for the best like running back the Saints ever had. Like, that's just me. I mean, I think in my personal and humble opinion, I think Darren Sproles was better than he was. I mean, I'm just being serious. As far as being dynamic, I put Reggie Bush in that conversation. But in comes Mark Ingram. Now Mark Ingram, you know what I'm saying, like breaking all the records. So some people might say, man, Deuce is better, but Mark Ingram, as far as consistency and, and like being here with the team and all that kind of stuff and getting those yards, I mean, some people might say he surpassed Deuce. And then you have Alvin Kamara. A lot of people might, feel like he's going to end up being the greatest. He's on that track right now. So when your team, even though the Saints have been around since 67, when it comes to success, they kind of in their infancy. You probably the last 20 years where you've been seeing consistent Saints success. You've seen like little sprinkles of them in the 90s with the Willie Roast and the Ricky Jacksons and the Sam Mills and the Pat Swillens. But it was like few and far in between. You might have a big fish in a very little pond. But now you look around the Saints, you start to look at some guys like the Mario Davis, like the Cam Jordans, like the Mike Thomases, like the Alvin Kamaras, and you're like, man, the Saints got some guys that can end up probably have some gold jackets when their career is all said and done. So that's the way I look at it, man. So it's not like Dennis Allen has to really do much. It's not like Jameis Winston as a quarterback really has to do much to be like second best. I think I think you have to be like young, Saints draft you, and you just have like just go on this magical path like Patrick Mahomes on in order for you to surpass Drew Brees as the greatest quarterback in Saints history. You really got to be doing something, but it is attainable for Jameis Winston to become the second best quarterback in Saints history. Let's scroll up a little bit. Kim says, I never bashed Mike T ever. That man has always been dominant and he's human. Well, I don't think people need to bash him, you know. I mean, like I said, I kind of fell into that category too. I started to have conversations with guys that actually played in the league. People, you know what I'm saying, like that kind of, brought some things to my attention. I ain't going to call them out. You know what I'm saying? People that I had the privilege of talking to, but they definitely helped me change the way that I approach certain things when it comes to like players' health, and also just some of the things that I try to deliver as a broadcaster and as a podcaster. Yeah, man, like it's tough what these dudes be going through, man. It's tough. I know the conversations I had, it's hard for me to kind of, just go at dudes like that. You know what I'm saying? Like they always hurt. And you know what I'm saying? And it does frustrate you at times, but when you have a guy like Davenport who we talk about, and all of a sudden you hear about his finger being amputated, like kind of hard for you to be sit up here and talk and not be sympathetic about what this dude trying to do to get on the field. Right? I mean, it's kind of hard for you to, think about football at that point. Now you got to think about this dude being a father and a husband and stuff like that, and being able to do that, nobody should be rushed from coming back from injury. I agree with that. Mama giving a shout out to Jerry. Anyone trying to party here in Atlanta after the victory over the Falcons week 1? Well, he calling it right now. He calling this shot. Let's see. Thank you, Jerry. God bless. I wouldn't have him play in the preseason. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna play in the preseason. No, I know you're not gonna play in the preseason. That wouldn't be very smart at all. I don't think none of your starters should play in the preseason, to be honest. Honestly, you should be concerned. Like, let me. I don't want to just gloss over that. I don't feel like any starters need to be playing the preseason. Seriously, I think preseason should be designed almost like, like the NFL trials. All right. I mean, because who watching preseason like that? You really, like, honest, you really watch preseason to see what the guys that are on the bubble can do. Right? That's what I'll be looking at. I don't feel like preseason is designed for a Kamara, for a Mike T, you know what I'm saying, for a Cam. Like, we all know what these dudes can do, so why are they out there? But you get guys like who's on the marquee of this episode, Smoke Monday, who's, guys like CJ Holmes, my Jackson State, fellow Jackson State Tiger. Guys like that, Traquan Smith, people that's like on a bubble that's probably, part of Last Chance U. Put these guys out here, Quan Baker, put these guys out, Esop Winston. Those are the guys that need to be out here. Ian Book. Like, lead the stars and all pros where they at. We know what these guys can do. And you don't want to risk injury or even these guys getting nicked up in any type of way, trying to go out there, getting some reps. Like, seriously, like, come on, man. We don't need that. Get these guys, get the guys that's out there on the bubble, give these guys opportunities for you to see, a huge body of work. And not only you, if you can't get these guys on your team, but other teams as well. You have enough tape, enough reps for these guys, for them to, if they can't be a part of New Orleans Saints, be able to continue their NFL career with another team. That's what I feel like preseason is for. Dress rehearsal and all that kind of, like, well, come on, man. What is this? What is this? Shakespeare? You know what I'm saying? What is this? August Wilson? The piano lesson? I mean, come on, man. What are we doing here? Like, we already know what these dudes can do. Like, what the heck is a dress rehearsal? Right? We need to dress rehearse. Like, come on, man. We don't need that. Exactly. Tro, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, put Kevin White out there. Put him out there so he can drop a couple passes so we can really solidify the fact that he's not good enough to be a starter. You know what I'm saying? Put him on special teams. Isn't Archie Manning still considered the Saints' best quarterback of all times? No, I wouldn't put him there. I think Archie played with a terrible football team. I think that Archie Manning, I think Archie Manning was, he was drafted at a bad time. But guys have come along and surpassed him. Drew Brees. I mean, undisputed. Like, if you don't think Drew Brees the best quarterback in Saints history, I don't know what to tell you. Next to me, I'll put Bobby Abel up there. You know, Bobby Abel third. I'll put Aaron Brooks. And I'm not just saying that, you know, because like Bobby, and you know what I'm saying, Bobby is, has been on the show. I'm just saying, like, as far as like what Bobby has done, and you know what I'm saying, and the yards that he's put up, and being a part of those teams, you know what I'm saying, led by the Dome Patrol at the time. Then you have to put Aaron Brooks up there because he's the first Saints quarterback to win a playoff game. So, and then at fourth, I put Archie Manning. I apologize about that. Yeah, but yeah. I'll put Archie Manning like fourth. You know, Archie Manning was he had a tough deal, but I'm looking at like winning. I'm looking at eras, and I'm looking at, some of the moments that they put up. Archie Manning, the biggest moment I can just remember him running for his life. I mean, getting his jersey completely ripped off of his body because his offensive line couldn't block. So Drew Brees, Bobby Abel, Aaron Brooks, Archie Manning. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, see, Bobby never played with big-time offensive players. He did good for what he had. Look, man, you gotta have an appreciation for, Bobby Abel as a quarterback. And as you said, man, he really have too much, I mean, you had Michael Hayes, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was pretty good. Probably had Tyrone Hughes running back a kick or two. But, I mean, these guys didn't really have too much. I mean, you can say the same thing about Archie. He didn't have nothing. But I'm talking about, man, I just think that Archie Manning is, it's almost like talking about the Pope when it comes to the Saints. It's like talking about the Pope. Like, yo, talk about the Pope. Like, you don't talk about him. That's kind of like how it is with Archie. But, man, I put Bobby Abel as the second best quarterback in Saints history and Aaron Brooks third. And like I said, I mean, it is not even like it's not like if another quarterback comes behind Drew and gives you 4 or 5 years of consistency, playoff appearances, touchdowns, a couple Pro Bowls or 2, that they can't pass Bobby Abel and Aaron Brooks. Because what are you really saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's see, more touchdowns than interceptions, a couple Pro Bowls, and win at least 1 or 2 playoff games, and then you can jump right in front of it. You know what I'm saying? like how many playoff wins do Aaron Brooks got? 1? If I'm not mistaken, 1, right? Yeah, 1 playoff win. How many Bobby got? None. How many Archie Manning got? I don't think he ain't got none, right? So it's not like you I mean, it ain't nothing. He ain't got nothing. So it's not like it's so hard to do. It's not like we talk about, Joe Montana, Steve Young, like people like that, Yeah, Eric Martin. Eric Martin was a beast as well. Yeah, he was a part of that team as well. Let's see. It will be a race to the finish between us and the Buccaneers. I don't think so. Look, I'm not one of those people that just sitting up here just talking about what this team got. I'm not going to look. I don't like them, and I know you don't like them, but I'm not just going to completely discredit the Atlanta Falcons or the Carolina Panthers. I don't know what teams have cooking. It's like every year we just leave a team DOA, dead on arrival, and then all of a sudden they just come out of nowhere. I am not going to just, look at a team and be like, oh, they ain't got nothing. You ever been to the park and then you see some guys out there and you're like, man, these dudes can't ball. Man, they can't play no ball. And then all of a sudden, like, they running the court. Like, you don't understand how they doing it. Like, man, how we lose to these dudes? It happens every single year. All right, we're going to take a few more, and then we're going to get up out of here. It was a Ball and VA podcast on YouTube. TJ, would you be willing to interview me on here about my landlord harassment situation? I'm trying to draw eyeballs to my channel to raise support. Yeah, it'd probably be something that we can actually approach Josh, but I have to put it in some type of context, man. I mean, I'm willing to help you any way you can. Like if you want me to come on there to, on your channel to moderate for you so you can tell your story, I've done that for a few channels. When people want to kind of share their stories and stuff like that, just let me know. We can set that up. But I'm willing to help any way that I can. Depending on the defense too much and their kicker. How do you feel about the Chiefs? I think they're a good football team. I think as long as Mahomes is out there, they're gonna put up some yards. But I am concerned that they're going to fall for that Drew Brees situation. You remember when Drew Brees got paid, and then all of a sudden, like the offensive line, you start seeing Jonathan Goodwin and Jamar Bushride and all these boys leave. You know what I'm saying? Because they couldn't afford them. I think that's kind of going to be the case with the Chiefs. When the quarterback is so good, he demands the majority of the salary, and it's hard for you to be able to keep some of the players to keep them upright. I think that's one of the biggest issues that they have, that Super Bowl. You have such great players and Pete Mahomes, but the problem is, I mean, you're giving them so much money. Who gonna block for them? So they're gonna have to start hitting them out the park with these draft picks, because they're gonna have to rely on the draft picks in order for them to have sustained success. But as long as they have Patrick Mahomes, they're gonna be one of the top offensive teams. As long as they have Andy Reid calling the plays, I think that they're going to be good. They're going to be a playoff team. Bucks win division by 2 games, but y'all make playoffs still. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Bucks might win a division, might be somebody else. I just don't like. I won't even say that about the Saints. Like I try to remove my home I had when I'm doing this show. Everybody knows I'm a Saints fan, born and raised in the city. But I can't confidently say that they're gonna win the division, just like I can't confidently say that the Bucks gonna win the division. I mean, you gotta look at it this way. You're gonna get everybody best shot because of who your quarterback is. Like it's not even about the Saints. It's about everybody else. People want to beat Tom Brady. And you know why? It's even more of a big deal now because you don't know how many years he got left to play. So you're going to get everybody best shot. I don't care if you got the team last in the NFL. You're going to get everybody best shot. And when everybody is trying to like knock you out, like how long can you withstand that? I think the first year when Tom Brady was there, when they were like winning, losing, people were like, and they kind of caught people off guard when right after that Vikings loss, they start going on that winning streak. Because people were like, man, we can beat these dudes. Like I feel like it was different, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody kind of like thought it was just a whole bunch of hype. But when they won a Super Bowl, now it's like, okay, man, we got to beat these dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel like that whole demand is going, you know what I'm saying, going to have these guys out there playing hard. It's hard for me to just say, it's hard for me to sit up here and say, that even the Saints can, you know what I'm saying, going to win the division just hands down. I can't say that. And I definitely can't say that the Bucks going to do it. I don't care who they got as their quarterback. Eric was solid, but he wasn't all that. He was good, number 3 or 4 in today's NFL. Ruben Mays was up and down, and Hilliard was bad knees injuries. Then wasn't the same. Yeah, Dalton Hilliard was a beast, though. You know what I'm saying? He was a beast, though, for a good little minute before he got that injury. We need Trevor Siemian back. End of story. Trevor Siemian is a solid backup quarterback. I won't even say hail to the null on that one. He's just not a guy that can, just lead your team week after week. If you need somebody to come in, mop up duty, somebody get hurt in the middle of the game, he'll give you some solid quarterback play. But I won't hail to the nod of that. I wouldn't mind having Trevor Siemian as a backup, come in, but not like how he was starting 3 and 4 games. Like, I think that's when you start to get exposed. What's your opinion, TJ, on Jameis Winston might be a Brad Favre? He has such an arm like Favre had in the Super Bowls and playoff experiences, but just I see. I like Jameis. I think that he's talented. I think as long as he stays consistent, cut down the interceptions, which if you look at for the exception that, man, I'm tired of talking about this, but exception for that 30 for 30 season, I mean, he was probably middle of the pack, average 14 and a half, or you can say 15, depends on what side of the fence. That's about average quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Most quarterbacks average between 12 to 15 interceptions per season, right? I think that we look at people that we put up there, big ups like Aaron Rodgers, and we look at that as the standard. And we're like, man, Aaron Rodgers only throws this many interceptions. Aaron Rodgers only but everybody can't be Aaron Rodgers. So I think in the process, like when people start getting 10, 11 interceptions, people just start to be like, man, this dude can't play, all because of Aaron Rodgers, because they prop up Aaron Rodgers as the standard of what quarterbacking is supposed to be. But Aaron Rodgers ain't win nothing. He ain't won nothing since like 2010. Yeah, they won a bunch of regular season games, but he shrank when it comes to the playoff. You know what I'm saying? So is that the standard for quarterback play? Playing big time in the regular season and shrinking in the regular season. I mean, they told me that Drew Brees can't be in a conversation because he's shrinking playoff appearances. And the last time I checked, both of those guys had one Super Bowl, and both of those guys, when it comes to playoffs, left a lot to be desired. So if you're going to tell me that Drew Brees can't be a part of the conversation for top, 100 quarterbacks in history, or like, oh man, I don't know, man, is he this, is he that? He should be the greatest of all time. If you're gonna tell me that Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest of all time, and the same situation, he deals with the same situations, putting up big numbers, good stat line in the regular season, and losing in the postseason. But you told me my favorite quarterback, Drew Brees, that don't get him in a room. Something is wrong. Something is wrong there. So that's the way I feel about it. I'll take a few more, and then we're gonna get up out of here. Gotta start my live show this afternoon. One question for the Saints is, who can hold down the fort if Kamara is suspended for a good bit of time? I don't know, man. That's a good question. Probably gonna be running back by committee. I'm kind of like, I'm not really concerned, because I would think that if it was like a big concern to a point where they just felt like they didn't have a guy that can tote the mail inside the facility right now, they'll probably be trying to move heaven and earth to try to find somebody. Also, I don't know if they're just trying to wait, or they probably got some positive news that maybe it won't be as long of a suspension as we think, especially like when you look at, what's going on with Deshaun Watson. People talking about he might be suspended 4 to 6 games. How can you suspend a guy for sexual misconduct only 4 to 6 games and then turn around, suspend a guy for, conduct detrimental to the NFL, I'll just say, for 6 or 7 games? Are you telling me that sexual misconduct is at least looked at as, a fight, a fight in Las Vegas? It's kind of hard, right? Especially if you're trying to tell us that you're all against sexual assault and you respect women and all that kind of stuff, right? Then you turn around and give, allegedly the biggest sexual predator in NFL history only 4 to 6 games. I'm not calling them that. I wasn't there. I don't know. But it's hard, because I'm pretty sure Alvin Kamara's representation is going to put that up there. So I think everybody who is getting suspended has an opportunity to be suspended, has a chance to. They're going to be looking at Deshaun Watson and wondering, well, if you gave him this, why am I getting this? So they're going to have to be careful, man, because it is going to have a ripple effect. And I'll finish this one with Jason. It says, when people have their questions about Jameis, I ask them, what if he actually does put it all together? What then? They have to admit he'll be a top 10 then. Yeah. I mean, if he can put it all together, not only would that be beneficial to his career, but it'll be beneficial to the Saints as well. So everybody just hoping that he just puts it together. I mean, he don't have to be, he ain't got to be the second coming of Joe Montana or nothing like that, man. But just be consistent. Just be consistent, and help the team win more so than you contribute to them losing. And you should be all right. Talk about contradicting, right? Yeah. I mean, I assume you're talking about the Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers thing. Yeah, it is. Because it's amazing to me how everybody's quiet as church mice when it comes to Aaron Rodgers and his mediocre quarterback play in the playoffs, right? And it's not like it's the same situation. The last 2 years, NFC Championship game where the Bucks beat them to go to Super Bowl. That was in Lambeau. Last year when the San Francisco 49ers played them, that was in Lambeau. They had the number 1 seed in both of those years. Matt LaFleur, 13-3. You know what I'm saying? What, they won 13 games last season too, if I'm not mistaken. So all these wins, right? But then when you get to the playoffs, they lose. But they've been telling us for years, Drew Brees, he puts up all these numbers. He's in a climate controlled environment. He's playing in the dome. And then when he gets to the postseason, he just shrinks. I can't put him as my top quarterback. I can't put him as one of the best quarterbacks of all time. When that happens, well, what about Aaron Rodgers? Right? Just because he throws a couple of Hail Marys and you know what I'm saying, in the fourth quarter, leading into halftime, like it's the same situation. So how can you look at one quarterback one way and says that this is the deciding factor that's prohibiting him from being in the upper echelon, and then turn around and put the other quarterback in the upper echelon who is dealing with the same situations? They both have won Super Bowl. They both put up regular season numbers that are just absolutely incredible. And only you can honestly say that Drew Brees, think about this. If Drew Brees was the age of Aaron Rodgers, right? Let's just say he came into the league around the same time as Aaron Rodgers. Would Drew Brees have multiple MVPs just like Aaron Rodgers? Probably would. Drew Brees was basically the bridesmaid to the brides that were Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. They would not allow Drew Brees to be a part of that conversation because everybody was so fixated on Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Those were the two guys. And he could never get into the room, even though he was just as good as all those other guys. Think about this, man. Another person. He's like, you know what I'm saying? He's like Ken Anderson. You know what I'm saying? That's who he was like. You know what I'm saying? Ken Anderson was a really good quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals back in the mid 70s, early 80s. Really good. Really good quarterback, man. But it was Roger Staubach and it was Terry Bradshaw. He led the Bengals to the Super Bowl, put up some really good numbers. Nobody really talked about him. Dude, you know what I'm saying, been struggling to get into the Hall of Fame. It's because everybody was looking. You can even throw Ken Stable up in that thing. For all my historians out there, Drew Brees played in an era where Tom Brady and Peyton Manning reigned supreme. And that's what everybody wanted to get their hands on. Everybody wanted to grab on to Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. And Drew Brees was putting up those numbers. Think about this. The year Drew Brees, the Saints had a 13-0 record, right? That was amazing, right? It was amazing. Saints went on a 13-game winning streak to start the season. But on the other side, you had the Indianapolis Colts. They won, 14 straight? So he was putting up all these magical numbers and doing all these magical things. But on the other side, the guy that everybody loves and admires and appreciates, and Peyton Manning, was doing pretty much the same thing. Every time Drew Brees put up gaudy numbers, unbelievable numbers, it was always one of the guys that were looked at, as the pinnacle, was doing something. I don't even want to say better, but it was just something that was magical, and they can just amplify that because they already were established as one of the best. So if Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers played in the same era, they were the same, they're the same age, they, was in the league together, then I think Drew Brees would have multiple MVPs because, Peyton Manning would be gone. Then you have Tom Brady, dealing with whatever he's dealing with the Patriots. They were kind of slowing him down. They were trying to add more of a running attack to try to, stop him from throwing the ball as much. you'll probably have Drew Brees looked at as one of the best, and he probably would be the standard. You know, TJ is a perfect answer for that money, and Rodgers and Tom Brady bring the money. That's it. I don't even want to say you're going to bring the money, because here's the thing. If you notice, let me see, towards the end of Drew Brees' career, you start to see the Saints more on primetime television. And some people would say, man, it's because Tom Brady came to the division. I don't think so. If Drew Brees, let's just say if he had like 3 or 4 more years left, there's no way in the world the Saints wouldn't be on primetime television. There's no way. I don't care if Sean Payton leave or not. The Saints will still be on primetime television if Drew Brees was here. So the Saints were starting to get that. It's because, you don't have Peyton Manning anymore. Andrew Luck was supposed to be the next guy. He retired, right? He was supposed to be the guy to come in and step up and, be the next thing. He leaves, you know what I'm saying? He was supposed to be that guy. And then all of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes, now he's coming along. But Drew Brees, he was starting to get that, but he was a little bit too old. He was still in the twilight of his career. So that's the way I look at it. But I just feel like they need to be fair about this, because the same things that they held against Drew Brees is happening with Aaron Rodgers, and nobody's really saying anything. That's all I'm saying. And we all know that Drew Brees is just as valuable. I don't care. I don't care if he didn't win regular season MVP. We know how valuable he was. So that's the way I look at it. But thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. I ask that you all hit the like button if you enjoyed the State of the Saints podcast. If you enjoy the content, please go ahead and hit that like button. I hope that everybody tunes in this week. We got a few guests on the show. Tomorrow we got Ralph Marlboro from the Saints Happy Hour podcast. He'll be stopping by to be a part of the show. On Thursday, we have Dr. Jesse Morris, orthopedic surgeon who's been on the show before. Tell us a little bit about Michael Thomas, the injury, and what could be the setback. So keep it locked here to the State of the Saints podcast. Subscribe to the channel. Also, check out Therapy Couch podcast, or we'll have a new episode coming up this week for all of those that want to check out the podcast dedicated to mental health and mental wealth. And also previous episodes of the State of the Saints podcast available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM, and also on Therapy Couch, available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?